Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Joyce, and I'm chairman of the Albany County Legislature, and welcome back to the William J. Conboy Legislative Chambers. The governing law and our rules direct that we hold a public hearing prior to the passage of certain legislation. Our rules prohibit members of the public from questioning legislators and prohibits us from questioning you. Speakers are called in the order their names appear on the sign-up sheet, and speakers are permitted 3 minutes to express their views. If you are participating remotely tonight, we ask that you remain muted until your name is called. Also goes for everyone in chambers, if you could please mute your devices. We'd also like to thank the county's IT staff for their assistance in making this all work tonight. So we thank them. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence and quiet reflection for the victims of the tragic shooting in Colorado Springs. Daniel Davis Ashton, Raymond Green, Kelly Loving, Ashley Paugh, and Derek Rump. These individuals will be deeply missed by their families, their friends, and our society. We can and must do better. Thank you. I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Beston. Here. Brewski. Bergdorf. Chapman. Here. Clay. Here. Clary. Collins. Camiso. Cunningham. Demolowitz. Drake. Here. Efacoro. Yeah. Ethier. Here. Feeney. Fine. Here. Grimm.
Here.
Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce.
Here.
Kuhn.
Here.
Lakakis.
Here.
Lockhart.
Here.
Muriello.
Here.
Mayo. McLaughlin.
Yes.
McLean Lane. Miller.
Present.
O'Brien. Hurley.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Plosky. Reedy. Reinhardt.
Here.
Ricard.
Present, Madam Clerk.
Simpson.
Here.
Smith. Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Whalen. Willingham. I have 25 present.
Thank you, and I thank everyone for their presence tonight, both the public and our members. We understand it's a busy week with the holiday, but the charter does dictate we do things at a certain time frame. So thank you again for your service and for your participation. Madam Clerk, please read resolution number 397.
Public hearing on proposed legislative additions and/or deletions to the 2023 tentative annual budget. Whereas Section 604C of the Albany County Charter provides that a public hearing on the proposed legislative additions and/or deletions to the tentative annual budget shall be held no later than December 1st. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Albany County Legislature will hold a public hearing on the proposed legislative additions and/or deletions to the 2023 tentative annual budget to be held by the Albany County Legislature at 7:15 p.m. on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, with participation information to be made available on the Albany County website, and the clerk of the county legislature is directed to cause notice of such hearing to be published containing the necessary information in accordance with applicable provisions of the charter. Affidavits of publication are on file in the clerk's office.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everyone to please mute your devices in chambers. If you are participating remotely, please mute your device before you get started. Madam Clerk, please read the first name.
Carol Waterman.
money, no surprise to anybody. And I want to start with two statistics. One, 15% of Medicaid expenses in the United States are for smoking-related diseases. Two, for every dollar spent on prevention in the United States, $55 is saved on healthcare expenses. In other words, the return on investing a dollar in prevention, it's a $5,500 return. Well, I wish I could do that in the stock market. But in any event, setting aside money from the Tobacco Settlement Fund is the fiscally responsible thing to do. Now, you have a desk strap I put out, which has the cover and 2 pages from the book Kids Say Don't Smoke. Now, that was put out by a group that then, this was 1991, called Smoke Free Educational Services. And the 2 pictures in there, and most of the ones in the book, were done by middle school students. I'd like to see our middle school students get some money to produce not only a book, but a whole lot of other things. Vaping is not in the book because vaping didn't exist in 1991. And we need prevention materials, videos, services about vaping, because that's what the youths are doing these days.
1 minute.
Now, it's easy to look at that and say, oh yeah, that's cute, but so what? The actual posters from them were put up in subways, they were put up in schools, they were put up all over, well, New York City is where this was, they were put up all over there. Now, the students in our county could do really, really good things. And if they had the materials to make videos.
30 seconds.
Okay, the materials, what they needed to make videos, audiovisual equipment, and also those posters were not cheap. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to wrap this up, so I'm doing it. I want to remind all of you that, I regularly tell you this, you can't get rid of me, okay? There's no way, all right? However, you can get me to shut up on this issue, okay? All you have to do is do the responsible thing and the moral thing. So do it. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Robin Gray, she'll be participating via Zoom.
Hi, my name is Robin Gray, and I'm representing the Gilderland Coalition for Responsible Growth. What I'm here to talk about tonight is the Albany Pine Bush. As you know, the Pine Bush is a unique ecosystem that is located in Albany County. Slowly over the years, it has been developed by private sales. Most of the land that is owned by private landowners is sold to people who want to develop it into something other than protected land. One of the things that would be really helpful and I think really beneficial to Albany County is if the county could set aside a certain amount of money every year to put into a fund so that Albany County could purchase the remaining acreage that is left of the pine bush. As it stands right now, out of about 6,000 or 6,500 acres of pine bush, 2,500 acres of it continues to be owned by private folks. Those folks have the ability to sell that land to anybody. What we are seeing is that this land is being sold to developers. It's being developed into apartment complexes. It's being developed into mini malls, shopping centers, and what have you. Although some attention is paid to preserving some of the land around it, it is still being developed, and I don't believe that it should be. It should be developed. I believe that we should be trying to preserve as much of this as possible. The pine bush is a very unique ecosystem. It's something that we ought to be preserving and not selling. And I think that at this point, Albany County should step up and help us preserve the pine bush. Thank you.
Lynn Jackson.
Hi, my name is Lynn Jackson. I live at 223 South Swan Street in Albany. I have the book that you have a copy of on your desk, and since 1991 when I was a health educator. I've always hated smoking, but when I read the book, before I read the book, I blamed smokers for smoking. But after I read Kids Say Don't Smoke, I realized the blame belongs squarely on tobacco companies. This book, written by children, really influenced my understanding of the addictiveness of tobacco. We should encourage young people to persuade their peers not to smoke. Big tobacco has killed millions, tens of millions. We should use the tobacco settlement money to put big tobacco out of business. Now, switching topics, I'd like to talk about the Albany pine bush. The Albany pine bush is a very unique ecosystem located almost completely in Albany County. The pine bush is a wonderful recreational place. It's a wonderful place that people go, especially now that we have a pandemic going on. I think it's still going on. You know, people want to go in the outdoors, and we have this beautiful pine bush. However, only, let me get my statistics right, about 58% of the pine bush ecosystem is protected, which means about 42% of the pine bush ecosystem is still privately owned and being developed as we speak. There are at least almost 100 acres of pine bush at risk right now because developers have approved developments on the land. And I think we need to, the court fight to preserve the pine bush ecosystem has been going on for 45 years. And I feel like it's time for us to step up and really preserve this beautiful piece of land. So I'm asking the Albany County Legislature if you would consider doing something like, say, put aside $1 million a year to buy land in the pine bush. Or perhaps using some of the COVID money to buy land in the pine bush. I think it's really, really important that we preserve our wild places. The Albany pine bush is considered the best example of an inland pine barrens ecosystem in the world. In the world. We have this beautiful treasure in the center of Albany County, and I'm asking the legislature to please, please, please help us buy it. Thank you so much.
Joan McKeon.
Hello, everybody. I moved into Guilderland about 8 months ago, and I knew that there was a noise problem with the traffic, but I didn't realize that they were going to be building a Costco and a bunch of apartments, and that it was the noise and the pollution was going to get worse that quickly. Already in the morning, you can hear the traffic, there's a roar. I wake up and I think, what's that roaring sound? And I open the door and it's the traffic. And all of that traffic is spewing poisons into the air. Particulate matter comes out of there and travels for 30 miles. So I'm like a quarter mile off of Western and fairly close to New Carner Road. So it's, there's, the pine bush is surrounded by these very busy roads. And it's sitting there trying to suck up this poison and and providing a quiet place. So without it, we're gonna have tons more pollution and carbon monoxide and all kinds of nasty things that come out of exhaust. You should read about it. And it's also going to be incredibly noisier. So I think we need to set aside any piece of nature we can just to keep it so that we can continue to live in these places. Without the pine bush, that whole area of Guilderland is just, I mean, there's woods out there, but where I live, it's all, you know, it's all residential. And those places are just, they're going to be filthy and they're going to be so noisy that nobody's going to be able to stand to live there. So, you know, people write about trying to preserve the character of Guilderland. Well, I think they've already lost it. Now they just should try to keep it so at least we can stand to live there. So, that's all I
Bill Coulter?
Hi, my name is Bill Coulter. I live on Stout Terrace in Colony, and I'd like to speak on behalf of saving what is left of the pine bush. Carol mentioned smoking. Saving the pine bush also assists with cleaning our air. Everybody wants to go to the Adirondacks and go to their camps in the woods. Nobody wants to live next to a mall, and we have a gem right here in the middle of the area. Adding to that, preserving the remainder will not only help the pine bush, but it will help business growth nearby. It's an attraction. You have to take the financial as well as the environmental aspects of this. I just hope, you know, I know you folks have the foresight. We just got to get the will to do it. Maybe a roundabout or two could pay for a good portion of the purchase. I just hope you consider that. Thank you.
Tom Ellis?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Ellis. I live on 44 North Pine Avenue in the city of Albany. I've been a volunteer with Save the Pine Bush for about 35 years. I write quite a few of the articles for the Save the Pine Bush newsletter, which was published 4 times this year. And I'm going to leave a copy of the newsletter, the most recent issue here. I'd like it to be included in the record of today's meeting. At the October 11th meeting of this legislature, I called on the legislature to consider having the county invest $1 million a year to begin purchasing for preservation the approximately 2,500 acres identified for preservation by the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission. As many of you know, about 3,500 acres of pine bush lands in the town and village of Colony, the town of Guilderland, and the city of Albany have been included in the preserve, which is managed very well by the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission. Many thousands of other acres of pine bush lands have been developed over the last 100 years, I guess. But anyways, the preservation that has occurred is a considerable achievement, and I thank those of you who've helped do it. The preserve is a popular refuge for people who enjoy hiking, biking, cross-country skiing, bird watching, butterfly watching, and the peace and quiet of unspoiled nature provides. Equally, and I think, or perhaps even more important, the preserve is the home of thousands of species of plants and animals, some of whom are rare and endangered. Did you know that the Commission staff have identified more than 100 different species of bees that reside in the pine bush? At least 40 species of birds live in or pass through the pine bush. Some of them fly to and from the Arctic into South America. Some of them are local. Like all of us and everything else on this planet, the pine bush is threatened by climate change. A larger pine bush is a healthier pine bush because plant and animal species will be able to migrate throughout it a lot easier. Enlarging the pine bush will allow some of the now fragmented or preserved parcels to be interconnected, facilitating plant and animal movement and hopefully their survival over the long run. Thank you very much. Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving.
Russell Zimba?
Good evening. My name is Russell Jemba. I live at 1813 Highland Avenue in Troy, New York, and I'm here to advocate for the county to buy land in the Albany Pine Bush. Originally, well, about 90% of the Pine Bush is in Albany County, over 90%. Originally, there were about 5,800 acres. Right now, there are about 6,500 acres, so it's been a decrease of 85 or 90% from what originally existed when it was formed. And because it's between Albany and Schenectady and Latham, it is in a place that is very prone and susceptible to development. It's sand, it's easy to develop, but underneath that sand is an important aquifer, which water is becoming clean, fresh water is becoming increasingly rare, and it's important, it's essential for life. So that's another consideration. The Long Island Pine Barrens on Long Island was preserved basically to protect their aquifer. We have aquifers under the Pine Bush here. As has been mentioned, it's a globally rare and threatened ecosystem. One of the best examples, maybe the best example of an inland pine barrens in the world, and it's right here in Albany County. Throughout the years, New York State, the Nature Conservancy, and other governmental and non-governmental bodies have purchased land in the Pine Bush, but there still is about 2,500 acres left that has been identified by the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission, and I advocate that we buy the rest of it while we can. It's home to, as mentioned, I think 190 species of bees, 202,000 species of moths. I didn't know there were locally that many moths. It's on the flyway, so it's important for bird migration. It's a home for rare and endangered bats, and the frosted elfin, which is a threatened, possibly endangered moth, and the Carnet blue butterfly, which is emblematic of the Pine Bush. So I asked Albany County to help and do their part, do our part, and help preserve this very important ecosystem. Thank you.
Megan Kaminsky.
Hello. I'm not very comfortable speaking in front of people, but I'm here for Save the Pine Bush and to protect Pine Bush's future and the lands here in Albany County. I went there as a child. I brought my nieces and nephews there. It's a great place for community to be. It's also a part of our history, and I'm here just to ask you to protect the Pine Bush.
There are no more speakers.
Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to speak on the proposed additions and deletions for the 2022 tentative annual budget? Or anything else? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. That wraps up tonight's hearing. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Peters, seconded by Mr. Kuhn. All those in favor? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.